Hello, dear friends. It's Carly, and welcome back to another episode of the I Learned podcast. I am so glad to be with you again. I love this space. I love that it's here for me when there's something that I need to talk about right now, right now. Oh, I can't wait. It's so important. And that is pain tolerance. I need to discuss pain tolerance with you right now. Um, so, pain tolerance. When it comes to pain, I mean, there's obviously all different kinds as far as physical pain or emotional pain or mental pain. I mean, there's all these different facets and ways that pain can manifest in our experience. And sometimes we think that we're seeking out something pleasurable and it actually ends up being painful. Like it can be surprising, it can be unexpected. Like yesterday, I go to get this massage, and the massage, I'm going to give it like overall like a 6 out of 10. It was good in a lot of ways, like 6 points worth of good stuff. But there was a gap there that illuminated this topic of pain tolerance. And what happened was my masseuse ended up telling me that this was the lightest massage that she had personally ever given. And it was like blowing her mind that, normally when she's touching people like this, like they would be like harder, harder, like dig in there, like really get that knot. And like, wow. Like I'm just blown away that anyone would ever want to be touched like that. Because like literally when she's using what she called light pressure, I'm like squirming and flinching and pulling away from her like just instinctively because that freaking hurts. And that was her version of light pressure. And so I had to like tell her several times during the massage, like, no, 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 like lighter than that, like even more gentle because that hurts still. Ow. I just started saying ow because ow, stop touching me that way. Like stop hurting me. And so it goes back to this concept of pain tolerance. And I don't want to so much get into the different kinds of pain, like physical, emotional, all of that. Like, I personally think pain tolerance kind of naturally encompasses all of those. Like, if you can withstand physical pain, your likelihood of being able to be with emotional pain and mental pain goes up, I believe. That's my own felt experience. I got no science to back that up. So, that's why I'm personally choosing to approach this topic of pain tolerance from this angle of let's leave all that together for now in the abstract that like it's close enough to the same thing. And we're just talking about our relationship with pain in general. Coffee sip. Pain tolerance. So I think what I read between the lines from my massage yesterday is that she's never met someone or has never massaged someone, I should say, who has this low of a tolerance for pain. That, like, I would need light pressure to that extent. It extended beyond what she had ever experienced before. And because of that, because it was brand new territory for her, she wasn't very good at it, And I want to say that that's why I want to rate that massage 6 out of 10. But like, it's only because it was her first time. I'm thinking that like you could learn how to be that level of gentle if you wanted to practice it. But what came naturally to her and what she'd already practiced was way too much pressure for me. And the story she was telling about, you know, when I would touch people like this, like they would, scold me and be like, really get in there. She's like, I almost broke my thumb one time, like because somebody wanted that much pressure that it was like hurting her. And that blows my mind that, like, again, anybody would want to be touched that way. And so it brings into question pain tolerance. And there's so many factors within this one piece. Like, even if we leave all pain in one bucket together, with like, there's two things that could cause, at least, right? Like, there's at least two things that I can see right off the bat that could cause somebody to want pressure like that. Number one being that they have a higher pain tolerance. Like, they can be in physical pain at greater intensities and they don't mind. They have like a physical capacity to feel pain, and teach me your ways. That's what I say to that first one. Number two is they are, ooh, and I already see a third one. Perfect, perfect. But number two is that they don't feel pain the same way that I do, right? Like, with just because we each receive the same stimulus doesn't mean that our individual systems are going to process it in exactly the same way, and that pain is a function of the brain, and the sensitivity to how much pain is your brain receiving from your body, that is unique to every single human being. So the way that you would be physically touched and the way your brain would process it as really, really painful or not painful at all is completely unique to the individual. And that massage therapist, I mean, her pressure is going to affect every single person differently. Obviously, I proved that to her yesterday. She was literally mind blown. I was like, you're welcome. Food for thought, food for thought for the future, because she advertises like that she can do a range of pressures, that she can do gentle pressure. And that's also a learning experience on my side, which I'm happy to have at this point. Is like, I think going forward, I would know to ask my massage therapist. Like, I'm just a newbie myself in terms of like seeking out these kinds of bodywork treatments. But I would have a more in-depth conversation with the therapist before I ever booked the appointment about their capacity for gentle pressure, and to not just let them say, "Yep, I can do it," and like move on. Like, how gentle? How gentle are we talking? Because yeah, like, I could not believe, my mind was blown at her definition of gentle pressure and how intense of a pain it caused for me. And there's this third category, which I fell into at the very beginning, which was, are you willing to advocate for yourself to get yourself out from under a painful stimuli? Are you willing to do it? And that part masquerades as pain tolerance, and it's not. That is masochism. That's being a little too willing to leave yourself in a painful spot because you don't have the skills to get yourself out of it. And that doesn't make you a badass pain tolerant individual. It makes you normal, for one thing, because we do have to learn how to advocate for ourselves. And most of our cultures don't teach us that. They teach us how to be quiet and how to get along and how to be nice and don't rock the boat and all of these things, especially if you're a woman, to like be pleasant. And giving someone direct feedback that says, you need to stop what you're doing, you need to change what you're doing, you need to be different, I need for you to change. Like, that ability to deliver feedback in that way is what I had to do yesterday during my massage, like 6 or 7 times. I had to tell her that you need to lighten up. Please lighten up. Ow. Like I said, I just started saying ow, because ow. And it felt like she would go gentle for a while and then she would forget. Again, I feel like that makes us normal. And that really illuminates the need for us to be able to advocate for ourselves, to get ourselves out from under a painful stimuli, and to think that you'd only have to do it once, and then that person should have to remember what you need from them like that dynamic of believing that if you've said it one time that you're off the hook for ever having to advocate for yourself again, even just with that same person. Like in the span of an hour, I had to tell her 6 or 7 times, like, back off, back off. You're hurting me again. 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 Those were right together. Mine were spread out over an hour, but that's what that sounds like. Like, are you willing to feel the pain that someone else is causing you or not? And you can make up whatever story you want around they should be the one to make sure that I don't get hurt. But if you're being hurt, are you willing to put a stop to it or not? And I'm not asking this question in any kind of accusational kind of way. I'm curious because the first few minutes of the massage, I couldn't speak. I couldn't say anything, even though I was like dying on the inside. I was like, ow! Every ounce of my body was like, get out of this, get out. Like, ow! I can still feel the very first spot that she started massaging was my crown chakra, like right on the top center of my skull. And she was using one thumb and she did that for, I'm going to say what felt like a minute. I have no idea how long it actually was because it was so intensely painful. Not only was she pulling my hair, she was pulling my hair, but like I can still feel the circle that she rubbed into my crown chakra. Like I can still feel it on top of my head. It's that sore. And I let her do it, and probably another couple minutes before she asked me, how's the pressure? And that was the first time I was able to say, can you lighten up a little bit? It took me 3 minutes and her invitation for me to be able to speak on behalf of myself and get myself out of that painful stimuli. What the fuck? Like, what? I'm mind blown because I would have said before that massage experience that I'm really good at advocating on behalf of myself. Like I've gotten really good at it. And I don't think that's not true. I think it is true. I think I have gotten really good at it. And growth and change is always only relative to the circumstances you've faced before. And here I was in this situation with my, brand new first time I've ever seen this person, massage therapist. And she's such a sweet little happy girl. And she's got these like strong freaking hands that like her natural pressure is just not well suited. And so there's nothing personal in what I want to say to her other than I personally cannot tolerate what you're doing to me right now. And still, it took 3 minutes and her invitation to be able to express that. And so I want to like just, and I feel myself there now because getting through that first pain, like I was in the third category of like, I do not have a tolerance for this pain. I am very much outside of my pain tolerance capacity, but I also don't have capacity to advocate for myself in this exact moment. I don't know how. I don't know what to say. I don't feel like I'm able, like, what is that? Like, it's just so fascinating. Why can't you say? Why can't you say, ow, that hurts me? And it really makes me want to dig back into, like, as far as being taught how to advocate on behalf of your pain, like when you were little and you were in pain or you were hurting or, other people were bullying you or you're just in general, you weren't okay. You were distressed in some kind of way. How were you treated in those situations? What was the response that you got from the nurturing adults who were in your life at that time? And I don't know about you, but I can say for myself that pain was absolutely not rewarded. Like, suck it up. walk it off, get over it, move on. We have work to do. Like this was very much the mantra that I took from my childhood. And so in the first few minutes of the massage, as I'm reflecting back on that space where I was in such great pain and not willing to speak up for myself, I came face to face with my programming around being nice and getting along and being agreeable and stuffing my painful experience to protect the feelings of someone else. And even when that someone else is a paid professional whose job it is to nurture me in that moment, I still wouldn't tell them that you need to nurture me differently. I was paying her good money and I still couldn't tell her how I wanted to be nurtured, even though I knew it inside me. I knew this pain is intense and I hate this. I fucking hate this. And I still couldn't tell her to back off until she asked me. And how often in our regular lives, when we're not paying a well-paid professional, how often are people asking you, how's this pressure? How am I doing? Like, how's this, how's this pressure? How often do people really ask that? They don't. They don't. They just be themselves. So they're not going to invite us. And I wonder if she hadn't had the sense or the training to ask me, how's this pressure? If I had never received the invitation, would I have ever said anything? Because after she asked me that first time and I told her to lighten up, I think the next one was me telling her again, like she kind of moved on to a different area and was back to using her regular pressure. And I was like, hey, can you lighten up? And then kind of it went back and forth between her asking me and me telling her to lighten up and me proactively telling her and just saying, ow, when she would touch something that like, Jesus, stop it. This is supposed to be relaxing me, not beating the hell out of me. Like that's how I felt. But again, that's only that third category of, are you allowing yourself to be in pain? That you're only allowing that because you don't have the skills to advocate. So the three categories were, number one, they literally have a higher capacity to be in pain. Like I am literally just super sensitive and I can't tolerate even a fraction of what most people can tolerate. That's number one. Number two is my brain is receiving more intense pain signals than other people's brains who are able and desire to have a deeper pressure, that it literally just doesn't communicate the pain in the way that my body does. So that could be what it is. Meaning that, other people just aren't in pain. It's not even that they have a higher pain tolerance, it's that they're not feeling pain. So they're not tolerating anything, Like I saw this demonstration this morning where somebody like just with one finger like tapped somebody's shoulder. Like they had a sweatshirt on and like just sitting in a chair and like tapped their shoulder and was like, how much pain did I just cause you? It was like nothing at all, like no worries. And he's like, okay, so then imagine if, number one, it's your bare skin, and number two, your skin has been burned such that all of the nerve endings in your body are directly at the surface of your skin because the top layers of skin have been burned away. And then imagine that I took this same finger and tapped you with that same pressure. How do you think it would feel? And he's like, probably excruciating. Yes. So the body and how it receives the stimulus and then communicates the pain is a matter of nerves and just basic composition of your body. And some of us are just more sensitive. Some of us have our nerve endings closer to the surface, I guess you could say. And when we receive the same stimulus, it literally causes us pain, physical pain, that when other people receive the same stimulus, they don't feel pain. It doesn't feel painful to them. Maybe it even feels pleasurable to them. Like I think of it kind of the same as music. Like some of us listen to a certain kind of music and it soothes us, and other people listen to that exact same song and it's like nails on a chalkboard. They can't stand to listen to it. It's like that. I mean, it's like this particular stimulus, this particular sensation, this particular touch, this particular pressure, how does it feel for you is going to be different for every single person. So that's that second category of like, maybe other people don't feel it as painful and I do. And that's why, maybe my pain tolerance is the same as other people's, but it's just not hurting them. And then number three, there are times where I'm way outside my pain tolerance, but I'm only there because I can't speak up for myself. And I just saw a fourth one because I also really love to be tattooed, which is completely random, but fits here so perfectly because the fourth category is that you are choosing to be in pain. And that is really in the territory of masochism because I think again, we go back to what is your relationship with pain? And in my life, I am extremely sensitive. I am extremely sensitive in all layers of my being, meaning it takes almost no touch to bruise me or to like cause me pain. It also takes almost no touch to bruise my ego and cause my ego pain. Like, just let me wrap myself out real quick. Yeah, like my sensitivity to being emotionally in pain, it doesn't take much to stir up my dust and cause me suffering, like emotional suffering, um, emotional pain, I should say. And in the past, before I learned my skills, like my toolbox of skills, um, my constant pain was extremely aggravating. It was extremely frustrating. And it made me really angry, mostly at myself for like, why do I work like this? Like, why am I just so in pain where everybody else acts like everything is fine? Like, why am I suffering? And now I know, the suffering kind of came from the self-blame more than it came from the pain itself, because as I learned my skills with pain, I mean, my levels of pain didn't change. I just was more free to move between the categories around pain tolerance. As far as like when I'm in pain, I don't let myself stay there. If there's a stimulus that's hurting me, I really do try. The first 3 minutes of that massage would tell you different, but I really do try to get myself out of it. I really do try to honor that that hurts. I practice saying out loud whether my heart hurts, my ego hurts, my brain hurts, my soul hurts, my body hurts. Like I try to practice saying out loud, this hurts. This is hurting me. And that has almost completely eradicated the suffering around the pain, because as soon as I admit that it hurts, I can begin caring for it. I can begin seeking healing, not just relief from the pain, but healing the wound that's causing the pain. Because exactly like those first 3 minutes of the massage, like there's a deep seated reason, or maybe a million different reasons, like a million different micro interactions from my, first formative years that taught me that my level of pain is like, we just don't have time for that. Like, it's just not helpful that you're that in pain. So like, get away from me. And I have to get back to what I'm doing. And being left alone in my pain, again, like it made me really angry at myself, because I felt like my sensitivity made me unworthy of connection. Like I wasn't good enough to be connected to people, because I mean, just because they were rejecting me for it didn't mean I could turn it off. So I would just go away and be miserable. And so I learned how to be miserable by myself. And that became like how I coped, is like, okay, fine, I don't need people. I'll just be by myself. And that was okay for a while, right? Like that was the best I could do. And then I got really lonely, and that was no longer good enough. It was an unbearable pain to be lonely and to be that isolated. I wanted more connection in my life. And so I wanted more people in my life. And taking that turn back towards people was a massive turning point in my life overall. That was about 10, 11 years ago. Um, I was about 23 at the time, where I was like so isolated and so miserable and just in so much pain that was starting to manifest itself as physical pain. And it was sadness, it was isolation, it was loneliness and feeling disconnected, the same as I had earlier in my life. But now at this point, it was just unbearable. My ability to tolerate this pain was no longer no longer sufficed. And I think at that point, like it was very much in the second category of like it got more painful. It got more painful to be alone, and my pain tolerance didn't get weaker, it just got more painful and I couldn't handle it anymore. And so I went back to therapy. I, worked on myself. I turned inward and like really was thinking like like I don't want to connect with people because I don't feel confident to be around people and not get hurt. So what do I need to be able to connect with people? I need confidence. I need like a little bit of self-esteem here, because I take it all to heart. Everything they do, even they don't mean to, everything they do just hurts me. And so I'll just be by myself, but that wasn't working. So yeah, like I began my journey of building my self-esteem so that I could feel good about myself, so that I could connect with others. And all of this coming back to this like overarching topic of pain tolerance. And I think what I've observed in my own experience is life rarely asks you how the pressure is. Rarely. So rarely. Almost always, if we are exceeding our pain tolerance, like as in it's more painful than what we can bear, almost always it will be on us to speak up and advocate for what we need to be different. And that thread runs deep for a lot of people. Again, going back to childhood, where most of us weren't taught how to advocate for what we needed. We were told that you shouldn't need that, and then we just were ignored. So when that's how you were raised, it makes so much sense that that's how you would treat yourself. You would just, tell yourself that you should be able to tough this out and get over it, and ignore yourself and ignore the real authentic experience that you're having, whether that's physical pain or emotional pain. And so I think the gift of pain, that's how I see it. If you can go with me, the gift of pain, because it is a gift that wakes us up to our needs are not being met. And the more painful it is, the further we are from having our needs met. And whose job is it to meet our needs? That's a question worth deep contemplation. Whose job is it to meet our needs? Take it a step deeper. Whose job is it to know and observe what our needs are? Whose job is it to advocate on behalf of you? Whose job is it to make sure that you get what you need? Whose job is it? The gift of pain. This is a direct truth. Brace yourselves. The gift of pain is that it wakes us up to the fact that we're not doing our job. We're not doing our job, taking good care of ourselves. when we're in pain that we don't are that we're not choosing. You know, I don't want to say like me getting tattooed and like me enjoying that experience of pain, like that that's me not taking good care of myself. If anything, that's me getting closer to myself. I'll have to tell like a whole story about my experience of getting tattooed sometime. It's wild. It's like almost like a psychedelic trip, the way that it opens my mind, because I have to get out from under this pain, except I want this, right? Like I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to be in this pain. It's like training almost, like, and it is, it's so much about your breath. It's so much about your presence with your physical self, your whole self, being able to zoom out from the needle that's pricking you to the overall system that actually is totally fine in this moment. I'm safe even though I'm inside this pain. And so being able to ground into your true safety, even when your system is in overwhelming pain, it's insane. It's incredible. I could, like I said, do a whole episode about it sometime. Um, but when we're like the first 3 minutes of the massage, like when I'm in pain and I've got this spot now on my head where she's like made my crown chakra sore, like when I'm in pain and the only reason that I'm letting myself stay here is because I don't have the tools to tell the truth to this person in this moment. This is a stranger who I don't even know, will may or may not ever even see again, and I still can't speak up for myself. Like that is worth noticing, right? Like we're not accusing ourselves of anything. We're just noticing where we are and the tools that we've amassed so far and the effectiveness and the ability of those tools to get us through the moments that we face. And in those first 3 minutes, I felt like I was in my toolbox and like, I don't think I have it. I don't have it. I don't have what I need right now to be able to speak up for myself. And that's fascinating. You know, it makes me naturally curious, like what new tool am I about to learn that is going to help me to be better able to meet my own needs in real time? What new tool am I about to get to learn? That's exciting. That's so exciting to recognize that this is this kind of situation where I'm not equipped to handle it yet. And again, that's not an accusation of the self. That's not putting yourself down. That's just recognizing I want to learn this. I want to get better at being able to meet a situation like this where someone is hurting me without even meaning to, and I still can't stick up for myself. I still can't just tell them. I can't tell the truth about this is what I need from you. Like that's significant. That's significant. It makes me curious, like where else is that popping up in my life? Where else am I holding back my truth to protect people that I actually care about? Like, this is just a person, right? Like, this is just a random stranger of the universe who I don't want to cause harm to because I don't want to harm anybody. But what about the people that I actually love? Like, love, like that I hold dear to my heart on a daily basis in my real life experience. How often am I still letting myself be in pain so that I don't accidentally harm them by telling my truth? I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question. Again, before this experience, I would have said, no, I'm really good at speaking up for myself. And then I see how I can't even do it with a stranger. I'll bet money. I'll bet money that this pattern is still looping in basically every single one of my personal relationships. And again, that is not self-condemnation. That is a honest appraisal of where I currently am. And where do you go from there as far as if I do want to learn skills to speak up for myself? Because I do know where my pain tolerance threshold is. And when I'm in excruciating pain, that, oh, honey, there's a fifth category. There's a fifth category that I just saw that's you're in the pain, but you believe you deserve it. Been there. I've been there. I've been in pain that I believed I deserved. I've, oh, I've been in a self-harm place where I physically hurt myself on purpose. I caused myself pain on purpose because, well, honestly, because it felt better to hurt my physical skin than it felt to feel the pain in my heart. Like I was willfully giving myself this physical pain because it was a relief from my emotional pain. That's a fifth category. That's a very different place, I feel, for me at least, than that fourth category where it's almost like a meditative space to be in pain and figure out how to relate to it in real time to where you're no longer suffering. Like that fourth category. The fifth category is like you're causing the suffering on purpose, either to yourself or by allowing someone to treat you in a certain way because you believe you deserve it. And I feel like that pattern blows my freaking mind even wider open because I can see that immediately in one of my close relationships that's playing out right now where there's like disrespect, and the disrespect is painful to be on the receiving end of. And it's not that I believe he should have to respect me, it's that it hurts me, right? Like, I'm not telling this massage therapist, like, you need to completely change the way you massage. But when it comes to me, when you do that, it hurts me. Like that awareness that this is causing me pain, and yet I'm not sticking up for myself. And I would never have consciously said before that it's because I deserve to be disrespected. But as I'm sitting with it now, I'm realizing that, like, do I deserve to be respected? I think had a question mark on it in my mind still. That, like, the disrespect that I was getting from this person, like, it made sense in some way because of this question mark around my own respectability. Like, do I deserve respect? Yes or no? And I think I was maybe at like an 80% yes, you know? And this person is helping to model what it looks like when I'm disrespected. And that lets me shore up that last 20% that, like, no, I don't deserve to be in pain. Therefore, I don't deserve to be disrespected, period. And so when we come full circle on pain tolerance, let me see if I can tie a bow on this like massive heap of random things that I told you. When we come full circle on pain tolerance and our relationship with pain, I feel like there's such an opportunity to, again, the gift of pain, to let it teach us and let it make us more mindful of what is our tolerance, what goes beyond that tolerance, and how well equipped, how skilled are we in advocating for our own experience, in advocating for our freedom from pain. How good are we at speaking up for ourselves? And I hope, if anything else, this story proves that, like, you can think you're good at it and there's still room to grow. The first 3 minutes of that massage, like the fact that the top of my head is still sore, like right here, right now, it just blows my mind that I let myself endure that treatment. But it's a wake up call. It wakes me up to, I wasn't doing my job in that moment. I wasn't equipped to be able to do my job in that moment of making sure that my needs got met, that my pain threshold, that my pain tolerance was respected. I didn't do my job. I was falling down on the job. And she did what she normally does. And it didn't work for me. And she didn't notice that until she asked and I told her. And so again, like, whose job is it to notice when you are feeling pain and when that pain has crossed your pain tolerance? And whose job is it to make sure that that pain comes to an end? These are questions worthy of our deep consideration in our relationship with ourselves. There's so much more. There's so much more to this conversation that I imagine I'll continue to have for however long it needs to come through, because pain isn't going anywhere. Our relationship to pain is the only place where we have the capacity to create. Creating a life free from pain is what I would say impossible, you know? But learning how to be in relationship with our pain such that it can be a helpful teacher to us, a helpful ally, even. Now that sounds like a reality worth building. That, like, I've been building and I see where, yep, I can keep building. Here I go. I'm going to keep building. Until next time, dear friends, thank you so much for listening and for being on your own journey of building your relationship with yourself, with your pain, and with all facets of yourself. Pain is just one element of this beautiful life experience we're so blessed to be a part of. I hope you'll take excellent care of yourself, and so will I.